Hey guys, so welcome back to another video here, and we actually saw Apple bounce over $4 on Friday of last week, and a lot of people were asking me whether or not I think Apple can break this downwards trend that they've been in over the last month or so, and whether or not I think that Apple will start coming back to these all-time highs that we're used to seeing on this stock. Now, this stock has historically been one of the biggest gainers on the S&P and especially on the stock market as a whole, and it's uncharacteristic of their stock to be selling off, especially as strongly as they have over the last month. You can see that they hit their peak around 135, but have now come down all the way to around 105 or 108 before we saw this kind of huge run that we did see on Friday. And what a lot of people are worried about is that maybe this run has been like the ones we've seen over the last few days, where Apple comes up a dollar or two just to sell off very strongly again. You can see that they've done it a few times now, and especially near this 112 level has been the level where we actually sold off previously in the last week. So that's why a lot of people are very wary of coming back into another long-term position on Apple to the upside and potentially get beaten down again like what's been happening over the last month. So to know what's going to happen, it's going to be very critical to take a look at some technical analysis here. And like I said, Apple's highs were around 137, and right now we're sitting at a price of 112. So we're down about $15 from the highs of Apple. And honestly, this is going to be one of the greatest opportunities to buy the dip when this company does decide to reverse to the upside. And I feel like that's why so many people are asking me whether or not this position is back to the upside, or whether or not this is a small pull up before a pullback down in the downwards direction. So as you guys may know, when a stock is in a downwards direction, the characteristic that you're looking for is lower highs and lower lows. And that's what we've been consistently getting from Apple in the last month. You can see that they had 122, then 120, then 118, then 111. And what that means is that they were in a downwards channel, especially in these last few weeks. We've seen a very, very strong sell-off. And like I said, guys, they always come back up to this top of this channel, then they come back down to the bottom, and that's what a lot of people are wary of might be happening right now. So it's going to be very critical what happens on Monday, and especially coming into the next week, to kind of decide whether or not Apple is ready to break to the upside, or if this is just another pullback to the top of the channel before we see a sell-off to the downside. So like I said, when a stock is in a downwards direction, they're going to be making lower highs and lower lows, and vice versa. When a stock is in an upwards direction, they're going to be making higher highs and higher lows. So if you can see that Apple has been in a downwards direction, and then all of a sudden we see this new candles opening that are higher lows than the last ones, then this is a significant moment where you might be considering that Apple could be back to the upside. So like I said, it's going to be very critical to see where this next channel or where this next candle opens up, and whether or not it decides to open to the upside and potentially show us a higher high than what we have in the last week or so. So you can see that around the 112 was where this last few candles developed here and at the top of this channel, and now Apple sold off to a higher low, but we still haven't seen that higher high that we're looking for to kind of confirm the trend. Even though we are broken out of this channel, I could still see that this is possible to be a kind of a trick, a pullback moment, and a lot of people could get burnt on this trend. And that's why I would urge you guys to miss out on a few dollars here on this Apple trade and potentially just wait until they break high above. And the level that I'm waiting for them to break is this 114, 115 level. So if they do get to 114 and hold around this range, which is going to be kind of where we saw this support in the last few months, then I will be confirmed that Apple is back to the upside. So like I said, I'm looking for this 114, and why I'm looking for the 114 is because that's where this horizontal line kind of lines up with the support that we've seen in the past on the stock, and where it would potentially line up with previous times when the stock has hit lows where we saw bounces. So that's going to be very, very critical. Also, you can see that the stock had a ton of buying during this range when it was first selling off. And that's why you see these melted candles like this, where a lot of sellers were coming into the market. And once this price of 112 was established, we saw some huge buying coming back into the market as the bulls stepped in on Apple. So that's going to be very critical to look for here and see whether or not these bulls will step back in at the 112 again, or if we're going to see another reversal to the downside. Now, like I'm explaining, this does look like a promising sign of Apple kind of starting into a new channel here to the upside. However, I wouldn't count your eggs before they hatch, as this could basically mean anything, and nothing is guaranteed in the stock market here, especially with the SPY so volatile. And I think one of the main reasons why the SPY is actually so volatile right now is because of the fact that we have the Supreme Court nomination, and we have a lot of disagreement between both of our political parties, or our biggest political parties in the United States. And this is causing the stock market to sell off, as they really don't like uncertainty here, especially with an election coming up and all of this happening. This turmoil in the US is not beneficial to the stock market as a whole, and especially not to the SPY, which tracks a lot of the major companies. And Apple is one of the biggest players in the SPY. So it makes a lot of sense that they sold off, along with this uncertainty that we've begun to see in the market. So I would just keep a close eye out on what happens with that, what's happening also with stimulus, and both of those things are going to be a potential factor here, moving Apple stock to the upwards or downwards direction here in the next week or so. So just keep a close eye out how they open on Monday. And depending on how they open on Monday, whether or not they can break this 114 level, this 113, which is such a critical support for them. You can see here the buying and the selling of a lot of people when they came in. And you can also see that it's been a support back here in September 15th. So that's why I'm watching this level and why I'm waiting until then to buy into this position, as I don't want to potentially get caught in a trade where Apple goes to the upside like you see here and then potentially retraces back down, or maybe even comes down to here, and then this would still say that we are in an uptrend. However, it might show that we are in a smaller uptrend than we think. And if Apple is able to break this 114, then this is a classic sign of a extremely strong bull rally, and potentially a sign that we'll be seeing all-time highs again soon. So just keep a close eye out on this stock, guys. I think there's huge potential for next week in the stock market, as far as a lot of companies, Square, Apple, Twitter, Bank of America. I think all these companies are going to be seeing a lot more upside in the next week if the SPY is able to recover from these lows that we've been seeing in the last month or so, and from this last 2 weeks where we've seen a lot of stocks break to the downside, which have historically been runners here, like Apple, like I said. So yeah, guys, just keep a close eye on these stocks. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe the video, and thanks for watching.